checking out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game. 5 seconds left in the game. Over. You believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnop.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vane, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a New River thing. Virginia Tech fire, rapid pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as the valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark. Got the scoop faster than a sprint.
Guessing everyone can see me. That's my hopeful statement of the day. Everything good to go?
From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play by play.
Hit us up in the McClellan chat room, McClellan Chiropractor chat room, or on the Professional Door Incorporated text line at 540-391-0788.
Let the games begin.
Marva in Miami will join us coming up. Brian Seigla from the Boundary Corner, and Mike Burnop from Miami. Another important game tonight for Virginia Tech. Winnable game. He's back. Good morning to you. So, the resolve of the artist formerly known as TLB is much appreciated. And it's good to see you in here, T-Bird. Very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. Good to have you back, man. And I'll try to make sure that the same thing doesn't happen to you ever again. From Blacksburg, Dallas is seeing the basket like a $2 million coin jar in Palm Coast. The basket looks like an ocean. Neo can't heat either, but still gets paid like a star. BDST is live and online. Yeah, we missed you, TLB. You know, we miss Opal. Opal got a new job, so she can't be in here in the mornings. I told her that she would retain her First Lady of BDST moniker, and she's very happy with that. But we got a lot going on today, and hope everybody's doing okay. Where are we on Tuesday? Temperatures in the 60s today, if I'm not mistaken. All week. 66 on Friday. Man, this is then cold again next week. But we're getting there. We'll get into the last week of February and March, and we'll almost be out of this nightmare that is called winter. If it happens to anybody else, he's available for consultation. Yeah, and I tried. StreamYard, who charges a lot for this studio, did not provide a lot of great. They tried to help at first, then they just sent links that ended up being non-helpful. It's one of those things, it's just the way things are today. You don't get a lot of support, right? You pay for things and, oh, well, you got his money. They don't. So they send you to a link. They tell you to do these things, and then you should have been able to enter an area of banned users. And as the host and user of this studio, I was supposed to be able to go in and find TLB and put him back in. Why he got deleted to begin with, I don't know. But when I got to the link, it just gave you that no information provided. It was just the empty link. So anyway, we're beyond it now. So we're glad to have him back. But a lot going on today. And we're glad to have everybody here on a Tuesday. Remind you that Family Fencing is a sponsor of our studio. 540-200-8294. Thanks to Jason, everybody at Family Fencing. It's warm. The horrible snow is gone. So now they can come out and measure your yard and give you a nice free quote if you want a fencing type of area. McClellan Chiropractic, Mark Hunley, right off of Peppers Ferry Road, 155 Walters Drive. Sponsor of our chat room, Lawson's Mobile Home Supply. They've been the place to go for manufactured home parts since 1997. Call James Lawson at 540-381-8011. I want to thank the NRV Super Bowl. They've been over 25 years now, and they've got some great weekend deals. Of course, the leagues are always booming over there, 382-5525. Good stuff, man. The community's always counted on the NRV Super Bowl. It is terrific. Pulaski County Sports Entertainment is the presenting sponsor of this program. Thanks so much to Jonathan Sweet and Tim. Great interviews with those two guys the last couple of weeks. Little River Heating and Air, that's Charles Lee, 1095 Radford Street, 540-553-2971. They are terrific. They're the best. The attorney Ryan Pry, BDST fan question of the week, 701 West Main Street in Radford, Trust and Estate Planning. How many wins do you see Virginia Tech basketball getting here down the stretch starting tonight with Miami? That's our BDST fan question of the week. If you look at the regular season record, how many more wins do you think Tech will get in the regular season heading into the tournament? National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of BDST, and my exclusive banking partner for 35 years. Professional Door Incorporated, I mentioned Travis. Residential commercial garage doors, family owned and operated, 38 years in business. And the Ready Set Fund, ReadySetFund.com, Bob Christ, BOBCRIST11 at Gmail, or just go see ReadySetFund.com if you need to raise some money quickly for uniforms for your team. We're in the springtime now, whatever it might be. And if you need uniforms for BDST, hit me up. T-shirts are $20. Great stuff. Yeah, agreed, Prometheus. Frustrating. Well, and the thing about it, this wasn't a YouTube issue. Like, this wasn't a YouTube issue. This is what I use, which you see me on, is called StreamYard. It's probably the most popular YouTube streaming partner. And they've been pretty good about things up until this latest thing. And it tells me that just how, if you can just gauge the response, right, that it was a glitch that their system caused and they didn't want to admit it, because then they might be open to refunding you some money. So then they tried to send me something that they thought was going to work. And of course, it did not work. Did not work. But we'll talk to Mike from Miami, and it's, tough game. Morris says, really can't blame you. But you can blame YouTube. Yes, go ahead. You can blame them for a lot of things. But Tech, like I said, they're on the road. They came up with a big win last time. But the thing about it, when you lose that game at home, I was talking to some people around in the Big South in the ACC yesterday, and that loss is almost like two losses. The Florida State loss, because it was at home to a team that was under 500, and you lost by 23. And the committee makes notes of all that stuff. So now they have more heaping piles to dig out of than they did before. It's just mystifying. And that's why I'm looking forward to talking to Mike to get his take on how that game turned around so sharply. Either the Florida State coaching staff has the best adjustment period at halftime in the history of the game, or Virginia Tech just completely went out there and said, you know what, we won the first half and let's just go home and we'll just get through the second half. Either way, it's not a good look for a team that's trying to fight its way back into tournament consideration. So we'll see where all that goes today. Everybody following what's going on at Kansas State, by the way. K-State, Rob, you in here? This whole thing is very interesting to me. Their head coach has been dismissed for calls, according to their athletic department. It's very, very interesting to see where all this is going to go. Their head coach, Jerome Tang, got fired a couple days ago, Sunday night. They claimed for a post-game rant that he made. And now there are many people speculating that Kansas State did this to try to get out of paying his contract. This will be very interesting to watch, and this could get very, very ugly. It's already ugly. They said that in Tang's contract, this is the Kansas State administration, says that he has language in there that references any activity that brings, quote, public embarrassment, ridicule, so forth, to Kansas State. I'm trying to find the quote. Yeah, here you go. Now, okay, let me ask you, because you're the best audience here on YouTube. This is what he said, apparently, that triggered the firing. This was after Kansas State dropped to 1-11 in Big 12 play, and they got beat by number 3 Houston by 14. This was Saturday night. Oh, I'm sorry. This was a loss after Cincinnati, he said this. But it was interesting because the team played the games without the names on the back of their jerseys. I don't know if he did that or anyway. He says, these dudes did not deserve to wear this uniform. There will be very few of them in it next year. I'm embarrassed for the university. I'm embarrassed for our fans, our student section. It is ridiculous. I have no answer, no words. Now, the one thing I don't like immediately out of that statement is that you can't go public and say, hey, we're just going to get rid of these guys. But he didn't really say anything against the university is where they're going to fight this. And this is going to be a very ugly, drawn-out court battle. Tang took Kansas State to the Elite Eight in his first season. We played them, by the way, Radford, down in Manhattan. But they're not good this year, and they haven't been really good since then. They haven't followed up. So we're going to see what happens. A lot of people around college basketball don't like him. I was asking around yesterday. He's not a guy that has a lot of friends in coaching, but now all of a sudden people are jumping on his side, and it's going to be interesting to see. Many people accusing Kansas State of looking at the contract. Now they have to pay a buyout, but they didn't want to pay him. They re-upped him, gave him big money after the Final Four. Clearly, there's dissension in the clubhouse. But, one thing I do know, there's no way that Mike Young would ever do this. I'm just using Mike as an example. There's no way really that any other coach would say that, hey, these guys aren't going to be in uniform next year. And it sounds like it's been something that's been brewing for a long, long time. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how all this plays out from a national perspective. And I guarantee you other schools are going to be watching this very closely, other coaches. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on here on how this plays out. Andy Kennedy, the head coach at UAB. And now these things are being singled out. Let me ask you this. These are the kind of quotes, and this is the mindset. It's funny. Things we talk about here show up the very next day. This is great. But this is just, Andy Kennedy said, these are scholarship players, head coach at UAB, that are now making more money than most of the people in this room. Is it too much to ask them to make a layup and learn fundamentals? He says, I mean, we are in bozo land, man. I'm telling you, it is. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable where we are, and now it's starting. The bubble's starting to burst. Penn State, the latest school to reveal the losses that it had in its athletic department yesterday. This is not an accident. Coach Elmo talked about it. These schools continue one by one to show you how this can't be something. They're building their case now. Where's our attorney, Ryan Pry? They're building evidential case, releasing it, showing people, court of sympathy, whatever it might be. And the change is starting to take place now. The dominoes are beginning to start to be pushed to tumble. That all this is going to change. Sooner than later, I have a feeling at this point. It feels like the process is being expedited behind the scenes. Yeah, Tebow, we can't get an honest answer about Tyler Johnson. I don't think Burnop has gotten an honest answer. Something's not adding up there. I could not agree more. They did the same thing with Lawal. It's been 3 weeks since he was supposed to be back. 3 weeks of he'll be back this week. So I'm with you now. I really am. And we'll ask Mike that question too, Tebow. But see, yeah. Yeah, exactly. I want to see what the attorney, if he's in here this morning, Ryan Pry, has to say about all that. Yeah, by the way, I haven't looked it up, and I probably should have before I came on. Let me find where Tech is on the net rankings of things. And I don't know, again, they say all these things are utilized when they go through all this, but, I'm not sure exactly what is used. Tech's number 58 in the net rankings. And I don't know how much they utilize this stuff. I think it all becomes kind of bogged down in the once they get in the room and they try to look at who's going to get in, who's going to get out. Or it says it seems Tech would need to get to 21 wins or win 4 of the next 5. Otherwise, it's win the ACC tournament. It feels like it's heading that direction, yes. But something is happening now in college sports to start the elimination process of the way things are happening. One school just did not release its information. And since then, we've seen now, I think, 5 other schools showing you how much money is being lost. I mean, now you got a couple blue bloods, Florida State and Penn State. This isn't coincidence. You're going to see more. And we said this 2 weeks ago. We said you're going to see more and more of these schools do this, and they're doing it now. I'll be interested to see how many more follow suit. People are going public saying, hey, yesterday, Mike Elko, Texas A&M, was on a podcast like this, and he said, hey, we got to have somebody in charge. We need a commissioner. And, Coach, I know what you're saying, and I get it, and yes, you do, but it's not that simple. Who's going to supply them with the authority? The NCAA? The government? I mean, you can sit there and say you need someone to lead it, but how are you going to implant anybody? Let's just say it's Nick Saban. Everybody wants to say it's Nick Saban. Everybody seems to have the belief, or many people seem to have the belief, that he has the best interest of college football, especially in mind, blah, blah, blah. And this is a guy, let's just say this the way it is. This is a guy who operated knowing the Alabama Mafia was taking care of his players for years. I get tired of everybody acting like Nick Saban was above what was going on in college sports before it became legal. Let's not pretend like Alabama was not the prime culprit in blue chips type of deals. Come on. They're not called the Alabama Mafia for nothing. So it's not like this guy's just always done things on the above board here. So let's put that aside. And, of course, a lot of things he says is hypocritical. But we'll use him as an example because people seem to think that he would be a good commissioner. I personally don't. I think it has to be somebody who's not ever been involved with college football. Somebody can just see it for what it is and not have any kind of bias. But I don't know how anyone like that gets instituted unless it comes from a higher governed authority. And I'm not one that wants to see the government get involved in things, but I don't know how the NCAA all of a sudden says, hey, we're going to do this. Like, they have no authority. Correct, Prometheus. They have none. Zero. So how are they going to all of a sudden say, well, okay, this person's going to, this guy right here, he's got all the authority. He's got all the authority to make all the rules. Okay. See what I'm saying? So it's easy to get on there if you're Elko and say that. You've got your multi-million-year contract, and your department has as much or more NIL as anybody in the nation. Good morning, Chris Lester. How you doing? So I don't know any other way to do this but to go to a higher authority. I really don't. The courts need to protect the NCAA. I'm thinking that's probably the only thing I can think of that would help institute any change. And people say, well, I always hate it too when they say, well, Congress has got more things to worry about. Well, this is important. All right. This is an economy-driven thing. It's the second most popular sport in this country. NFL and college football, 1 and 2 in fan passion viewership on television and streaming services. There's no debate. None of the other pro leagues can even begin to hold a candle to college football's viewing numbers and attendance numbers. So this isn't just some minor little thing. This is developed into over the last, even before pay for play and all this. By the way, I'm starting to see that more and more. I'm starting to see, we've been talking about it for months now. Don't call it NIL anymore because it's not. It's an inaccurate moniker. And now I'm seeing people all over X say, let's just call it what it is, pay for play. Because the whole NIL model is not what this is. But in any event, I think it's going to have to be government regulated. I don't know any other way because the NCAA doesn't have authority. And, of course, they're so afraid of lawsuits at every turn that they're not going to push this. And I like that thought, too. The NFL has skated for all these decades using college football as its unofficial minor league system, right? I mean, it has been one of the biggest little people don't talk about it enough, but it's been one of the most overlooked aspects of the NFL's success. They have used it as a free scouting tool, developmental at these schools. So if they do get involved, they should have to pay for things. They should have to step up. I agree with that. Turn it into a developmental league. It's what it is anyway. But this whole thing, I told you, I talked to the gentleman from Virginia Tech. And no, people were asking me who it was, and I would never do that. Stop. He'd never talk to me again. When he used the phrase, it's all just a money laundering scheme. Do you realize that already about 65, 70% of all that money that Virginia Tech received, from the board has already been spent already? Think about that for just a second. Everybody says, we got all this money. Yeah, you did. You don't have all that money anymore. All sorts of projects, what's going on at Merriman. I mean, it adds up. You have different little projects. You have different things you have to do. And all of a sudden you look down and, where's all this money going? And it's what these other schools are revealing when they show you their records. The money doesn't last. It's the one thing I'll disagree with. Andy Bitter, when he comes on, he'll always say, there's money. They have lots of money everywhere. There's enough money. No, well, there's not. It's not. They get a lot of money for TV contracts and so forth, but this isn't a revenue share going on right now. This is just pay for play, and this is where your payrolls are going up. I mean, Ohio State and Texas Tech revealed $60+ million football payrolls. Let that sink in for just a second. Go look at some of the payrolls for Major League Baseball teams. And then look at those two programs and what they spent on their football roster last year. So and now Penn State did it yesterday, when these schools are starting to show their books, this is a planned scenario. And it's gotten to the point of just absolute insanity. It became a bidding war. We talked about this with Elmo and with Todd yesterday, Todd Grantham. So when you had all the payments like the Alabama Mafia and all these schools that look the other way, all those years, like Tebow says, payers were getting paid, but it was all illegal. So there wasn't any open debates. There wasn't any open negotiations that we knew about because players knew they were excited about being able to get something extra, right? So you tell me how it's gotten to this point so quickly. It's greed, it's self-interest, it's thinking you're above board as long as you have it coming in. That, you know, the Ohio States of the world, we'll use them as an example, Texas Tech, the commitment that they had, and that's great. It's great to be able to say they had $60 million of money just to use to buy football players. All right. And what we're seeing is what's similarly going to happen in baseball. The spending in baseball, it's not just the spending in baseball, it's the whole deferred payments thing that has created such an imbalance with teams like the Dodgers. So baseball is about to completely blow itself up. 2026 will be the last baseball season as we know it right now. There won't be a 2027 season, I don't think. And I don't think they're going to be able to solve this whole lockout. The players are already lining up. In college football, can't do that because these are institutions. But, you know, Elmo had it right. Coach Elmo had it right. It's about the whole thing is about the presidents and the commissioners aided in this. You know, the NCAA is made up of all the schools, and these leagues and so forth are all responsible for what we have. Yes, Tebow, there was an immense bidding war for Kevin Jones. Yes. Yes. For Mike Vick. I was working at Tech at the time. People want us to think that doesn't happen in their own backyard, but it happened everywhere. Every coach was doing something, or every coach would know about it and didn't want to know about it. Blue chips, correct, 100%. But to see the reason that type of thing didn't get out of control, it's crazy how accurate Blue Chips is. Friends of the program would get very excited about being able to help a school get a kid's commitment. And that kid was getting extra, right? Oh, look, we're breaking the rules. I'm special because I'm getting whatever it is I'm getting. They didn't have demands of money. They were just like, oh, cool. You're going to give me this? Awesome. Let's go play. Let's go play. But in any event, it's not an accident, and I'm starting to think that 2026 might be the last year of college football that we have that's going to have this same scenario taking place. It got out of control because of the people that were supposed to keep it from getting out of control. The gatekeepers looked the other way. None of this, and I'm going to say this, and I got a lot of pushback yesterday on the text line. None of this is the athlete's fault. None of this. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that. But when you have people who were making a lot of money that didn't do anything to try to legislate it, didn't try to do anything to take care of it in-house before it got to this point, that's who this is on. College presidents, commissioners, athletic directors, It's on all those people before it's on the kids. And if you disagree with that, that's fine. You can disagree with that. But let's not lie to one another. If you and I were an 18, 19-year-old kid and we were a freshman or sophomore that had a big year, and we had 10 or 12 schools coming at us, offering us more millions than the previous school, we would hop in the portal. We would tell our school, hey, thanks. You know, this is business. This is nothing personal. This is business. And we would all jump in. It did, Prometheus. It was the O'Bannon ruling that really got the ball rolling on this. And what that told the NCAA was that they had absolutely no power going forward. If you go back and read that, the judge was very, very adamant, directing a lot of animosity toward the NCAA for its decades of misuse and its way of doing business. And it kind of set the standard for every court case that's come since that they've lost, because there's no sympathy at all for that organization who secured billions of dollars over many decades and did business under the guise of these athletes that are making all of us so many millions of dollars. But they don't get any of it. And that was the whole crux of the O'Bannon case. And that's why it became NIL, because that whole thing was centered around what NIL was supposed to be. Oh, you're using my name in a video game that's going out and selling millions of copies and making hundreds of millions of dollars, but yet I'm being played in that game and I don't get anything for it. It's a no-brainer that they were going to lose and that Ed O'Bannon was going to win. But the NCAA could have taken care of this a long time ago before it even got to that level, that they didn't do it. They didn't do it. Schools did not do it. They didn't want to do it. And thus now we have this chaos that is only because of human beings who continue to show time and time again that there's no way in hell we can be the most intelligent life form in this universe. No way. There's got to be like another species going, wow, those humans. Ooh, man, they're morons. Right? But in any event, this is where we are. And this all ties back into Jerome Tang, because I believe Kansas State's probably one of the schools feeling the pinch. So they're looking at ways to shed salary. So they're trying to. Now, I don't know all the other things that's going on with Tang. There's going to be a lot of discovery. This thing's going to court. He's already announced who his law firm's going to be. It's going to be just a massive, ugly thing for Kansas State. Money is at the center of the problem. It's also the solution. Remove the money, instant change. Yeah. I don't know, Prometheus, who the judge. I don't know who it was. But in any event, here we are, and it is teetering, folks. And this is where the networks, and Coach Elmo has said this all along, that really look at it this way: it's going to be the ESPN division, it's going to be the Fox division, and don't throw out NBC and Notre Dame. It's going to be the networks that are creating all this, and it's going to be 2 leagues in Notre Dame, led by television money. So we'll see. Joseph says some of the small schools that weren't usually at the top, like Indiana, Vandy, Tulane, SMU, can buy their way to the top. Well, Tulane sure wasn't buying their way. They don't have any money. SMU has a ton of money, and it's a large school. They just weren't a Power 4. SMU has some of the richest, which obviously they raised that money to jump into the ACC immediately. Vanderbilt's always had money. Indiana's never had money toward NIL. And, they didn't win that title because of money, right? Because they didn't have a bunch of 4 stars. They had a bunch of 2 and 3 stars, if you want to believe in the star system, which is a load of crap to begin with anyway. They just found the right quarterback, the right coach, and they got on, I'll be curious to see where Indiana goes from all this. There are a lot of coaches that don't feel like that's going to be sustainable, and it probably won't be. What is that, Wayne? See, video gaming company, $600 in 25, now $1,500 for next year. Is that for each player used, Wayne? What is that? The $1,500. Yeah, that's true too, Tebow. Absolutely. These judges are bought and paid for. Private schools will be continue to operate the way they've always operated. They don't have the same rules. You got to keep that in. Okay, so it's $1,500 per player. Wow. $1,500 per player. That's a lot. Places like High Point, now keep in mind, private schools don't have to report anything and they can do whatever they want. State schools cannot. State schools have state guidelines that they have to follow and that they have to show why they're doing what they're doing. Private schools can do whatever they want to do. So, yeah, places like High Point, as long as they figure out a way to raise the money that makes sense to them, they can do whatever they want. Do whatever they want. But anyway, it's a very interesting discussion. But it feels like we're on the cusp of it going bye-bye. Joining us now on the program, we never want to say bye-bye to Marva in Miami. Good morning, Ms. Marva. How are you?
I'm doing all right, Rick. How are you today?
Good, good. Carolina Blue, even after the Miami loss. Good.
After the Miami loss, there was a big win against Pitt, missing 2 players, missing 2 key players. I know Pitt's not very good.
I scored 8 points against Pitt, and I didn't even play in the game. So,
yes, they're not very good, okay? But it was still, as a Carolina fan, it was encouraging to see Carolina come up and win big against Pitt because a lot of different players stepped up because, Carolina's missing the 2 of their biggest players this year in that game. Caleb Wilson, who broke his hand in the Miami game.
It's awful.
Yes, awful. He broke his left hand. And,
how was your experience?
Well, you know what? I will give credit to the Miami fans. They were nice to us. I was actually in a section where on the row I was sitting on, there were a group of Carolina fans and a group of Miami fans, and we were kind of in the middle of them on that row.
Big fight? Was it a big fight?
No. The Miami fans were nice. I mean, I have been places in the ACC where other schools' fans were not nice at all, but these people were very nice. And, this was a crazy game. Like, Carolina never led in this game. At halftime, the Heels were down 3. So I was still feeling pretty good, even though you could tell that there were some odd lineups going on. And it's interesting when you go to a game versus when you watch at home. It's great to be able to see the action live, but there's certain things you don't know because they're not, so like I saw Caleb Wilson go out. I didn't know what was going on. I thought, why is he going out so early? What's happening? It's, he's just getting a quick rest. He came back. He had his hand taped up, but still, I didn't know what was going on. I was obviously had some sort of injury. And, they said that the testing they did there at UM was not conclusive. It looked like he was going to be okay. The fracture clearly wasn't showing. So they put him back in the game. But you could tell he wasn't the same. Also with Henry Vasar, he didn't quite look right, but I didn't, you don't know what's going on. And this, especially coming right off the Duke game, you're thinking, oh, they just have this, you see it sometimes you get up for a big game, you win, and have this big hangover afterwards. But when he didn't play at Pitt, also, it was real. He had some sort of lower extremity injury. They did not go into detail about that. And they also said he was sick. Them saying he was sick definitely made sense because he seemed a bit sluggish against UM. And, again, watching at home, you just don't know this stuff. We had incredible seats for this game. So, I mean, I enjoyed the experience being able to see the guys play up that close, but it was really devastating to hear, what happened to Caleb Wilson in that game. And then you worry about, what's going to happen for the rest of the season. And so, people start speculating. People have already said, oh, I think he's probably just going to stay out until the end of the season to prepare for the NBA draft.
Sure.
But he has come out and he said, no, he said, that's not true. He's going to come, he's going to play. But right now there is no timetable for his return. And I know hand injuries can be tricky because there's so many, there are a lot of bones in the hand. It's a lot, and at least it's his left hand, but still we don't know what's going on. And he wants to come back and play, though. So I'm encouraged by that. And I'm encouraged by the way the guys stepped up against Pitt. Because, yes, Pitt's not very good. But still, you saw guys who don't get many minutes come out there and really perform well. And so, tonight Carolina faces NC State on the road. And that's going to be a tough game because, that is still for them. That is and for Carolina as well. But, for them, that is a very, very big game. If they don't do anything else, they want to beat Carolina.
He'll never wear a Carolina jersey again. Caleb Wilson will never wear a Carolina.
I don't, Rick, stop. Why are you, Rick, you're always raining negativity. Stop it.
I'm rating facts. He's going to sit out because he's got his NBA career. He only came to college because he couldn't go straight to the NBA. Well, he chose Carolina. Chose Carolina because y'all paid him the most money. He didn't come to Carolina
to go, and he has embraced the Carolina fan base. Like on Saturday against Pitt, he couldn't play, but he was out there. They showed him before the game. He was signing all these autographs. I mean, he's even said, he's like, he's mentioned, I'm probably going to only play 1 year. And he's like, a lot of people, this may be their only chance to see me play. And I'm going to try to give them a show. And I'm going to be as polite as I can and nice as I can to the fans. And he's definitely done that. You see him with kids. So, I think he's a nice young man. I'm excited to see what he does at the next level. But I do believe him when he says he will come back if he can. And so we don't know. Like I said, nothing has been released. Rick, stop being so negative. I could see him perhaps coming back. Maybe he's able to come back and play in the tournament time. There's some people who are optimistically saying he'll play in the ACC tournament. I don't know about that. And of course, none of us know right now. We're going to see.
Did they say what it was? Is it broken? Is it a broken hand? Well, then he's not playing basketball anymore. We had a guy out last year who broke his hand. He was out the rest of the year. I mean, you can't do anything with the basketball.
I know it's really tough. And going back to that Miami game, of course, didn't know he was playing with a broken hand, but you could just tell he wasn't right. Something was not right with him with his shot. And so we'll see what happens going forward. But Rick, choose to be optimistic, and maybe we'll get to see him again. I certainly hope so.
Season's pretty much done now. Y'all are toast.
That's not true.
Wow.
I do not believe that. Rick. Again, stop with the negativity, okay? I want to hear you say something positive this morning. What's going on?
Well, it's always positive to be with you and the peeps. That's great. Okay. Always.
And you're not coughing, so that's good.
No, not as much. It'll hit sometimes. And it's just at this point, I don't know what's going on. But
yeah,
I said, I
think much better. And I think you just keep the fluids.
Keep the fluids going.
You stay hydrated.
Keep them moving. Keep the fluids going. Well, we'll see. I don't know. You got the Wolfpack tonight. Your underdogs on the road. I just saw 7-point dogs tonight because you've lost your guy.
But
wow.
I don't, Rick. I don't pay attention to that stuff. I see that stuff as being for gamblers. I don't pay attention to that stuff. I am always optimistic. I think they're going to be up for this game. I think, Coach Hubert Davis is going to be up for this game, and it's going to get everyone's hopefully going to be fired up. And the crowd, even when you are the one everybody's, yelling at, screaming at in a negative fashion, I think that can also fire you up, because the crowd in Raleigh will be at a 10. Okay. So I think that will hopefully fire the guys up to perform and shut them up, basically. Because again, they're going to be, I haven't even been on social media today, but I'm sure they're already chirping.
As a Carolina fan, how close is NC State to mirroring the rivalry with Duke? We know it's Duke, but how much hatred is there? How much rivalry is there for Carolina?
I still think it's there. I still think it is, but it's for Carolina fans, at least, it's not as high as with Duke. And it also, I think it depends a little bit on when you started being a fan and when you came up, because there was a time when it was really high, and it was even higher than with Duke. And so it just kind of depends. But I know growing up as a kid in North Carolina, there were a lot of Carolina fans and a lot of State fans, and not as many Duke fans. And Duke started winning, and they're, certainly developed more Duke fans. Rick, I have Duke fans in my own family. Okay. And I had to console them after the loss, because I'm nice, I knew that they were hurting. So I reached out.
Very insincere consoling, by the way.
I told them it would be okay.
She didn't necessarily mean the consoling, but hey, she was consoling.
I reached out, because I saw they were posting, they were in pain, and I did reach out to comfort them.
Not legitimate consultation, but nonetheless consultation.
I told them everything would be okay, because they were very upset. But yeah, so it was interesting. I loved that I grew up with all those rivalries, and it was a lot of fun. And it's interesting for my kids, growing up down here, they don't see that. UM fans, obviously, they wanted to beat Carolina, but they don't hate, they don't hate Carolina like they hate Florida State, or like they hate, Florida. So it wasn't, and that might be, maybe that's why everybody was so nice to us, because they don't have that kind of hate. But I will tell you that the Miami fans and the people at that Miami stadium, their trolling though is at, 100%. So they have like a huge digital scoreboard there. They have the scoreboard, of course, at the top of the stadium, but also they have a big wall where they have. And so whenever Carolina would go up to shoot a free throw in the second half, because they'd be looking at that wall then, they would put up crying Jordan memes. They were putting up Belichick on the sidelines. Their trolling game is, and I just thought it was funny. I wasn't offended by anything they did. I'm they were winning that game. They were looking dominant, and I don't mind stuff like that. I think stuff like that is fun.
So give our Tech fans here. You saw Miami. How good's Miami? What do you think? Tech's got to play there tonight. So
they are good. They have a couple of players who really stood out. They're front court players. So I would just say, I don't know. I hope that Tech is motivated. After that loss to Florida State, that I saw, the devastation. Everybody's like, oh, what's this going to mean is Tech going to get into the tournament? So
no,
this would be a great game for Tech to win. So, but be prepared. They're going to come at you. They're going to come at you hard, because I think they feel like maybe they haven't been getting the attention that they deserve.
Miami. Yeah.
And they look good. So Tech fan, I hope Tech wins, but it will be hard. It'll be hard.
Well, I'm glad y'all had a great time. That's great. Your kids are always going to remember that experience.
Yeah, they had fun. It's their first college basketball game, and they thought it was great. They enjoyed. So because they weren't as excited as I was going into it, but they really enjoyed, because it's such a fun atmosphere. There's all the music. They're throwing T-shirts into the crowd, and I said, guys, we can't get those. So I wasn't trying to get those. They were, of course, throwing their Miami things up there. They were having, the hurricane warning flags they have at the beach, the red ones. I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys are.
Yeah.
They were waving those in the student section, and it was a fun atmosphere. So I'm glad they enjoyed it.
Did it make you even matter the fact that Miami's coach is a Duke guy?
Honestly, I didn't even think about that. I was just, I just couldn't understand why the team was playing like they were. Like I said, they just looked a little sluggish, and we see later, Caleb was hurt. Henry Vasar was sick. They never said what his sickness was, but I just imagine what's going around with everybody else. Maybe he had flu or something. He just didn't quite look like himself, and I'm glad they held him out of the Pitt game because clearly we did not need him, but we will tonight.
You will.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, he had a great little brief Carolina career. So I hope you got to enjoy. I hope he's worth the $3 million you paid him. So.
Well, you never know exactly how much money someone's getting. But
I do, because we had boosters sit beside us at the Carolina game, and they were telling us all about it.
But you know what? Though he very good player, and I don't begrudge him anything that he received. Very good player, and not just a good player, because all teams want good players, but he seems like a high character guy. So I do not begrudge him 1 cent that he received. And I hate that he has been injured. And again, Rick, I'm going to be positive, and I hope that he comes back. I hope we get to see him play a few more times, because the thing is, I don't think he's not going to stay out if he can play. So I hope he can, but hands are tricky. So
he won't be back. I mean, and you got to look at it from his perspective, right? He was already a pro in his own mind, the way he's played. I saw him down against Radford. That was the first game. I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's going to be a lottery pick. It was clear. So his mind is already beyond school. He's going to say the right things. I mean, this isn't dogging the kid.
I think he will play if he can, but I don't know. It's a tricky injury. I really don't know if he's going to be able to play or not. We saw Seth Trimble break his arm, and then he set out. What was it, 6 weeks? I don't remember the exact timeline. He set out 6 weeks, and he came back. But the arm is just not as tricky as the hand. The hand is
in basketball, particularly.
The hand is very tricky, and so I would not want him to come back if he's not 100%. But I mean, if he can, I'd love to see him.
Well, and it's not dogging the kid. I'm not. This isn't putting him down.
It's tricky injury, and
I mean, I don't blame him. I mean, his aspirations has always been to get his big bag in the NBA, and he's got the skill to do it. Right. He came to Carolina. He got paid a handsome amount of money. I heard he got more than anybody else in college basketball. Okay, you know what? He's doing all those things. He at that point is an employee. So yeah, he's signing autographs. He's going to say the right things. He's going to go to all the functions. Sure, because he's been hired to do it. It's great. But that's what it is. That's what
I mean, I also, Rick, I know he's being paid, but just my impression of him is just that I really do think he's a genuine guy.
He seems like a good dude.
There's some people who are getting the same money, and they don't always give that impression,
No, you're right. You're right.
So I do think he's a good guy. I mean, he seems like he comes from a good family. And I am excited to see what he's going to do. But yeah, I mean, when I heard he broke his hand, I was just like, oh no. I mean, the text with all my friends, it was like just devastated, because we know that means it's going to be a lot harder.
That's true.
And also, I really just wanted to see him play again. I really enjoy the way he plays. I just love that he has such a passion for the game. He's going to hit the floor going,
go watch highlights. You can go watch highlights and enjoy what it was like. What is it? His shooting hand?
No.
Is this his offhand?
Yeah. So he was still shooting, like he was still playing against Miami.
Okay. Well,
but
either way, I don't think
it's the same, and you can't risk further injury. So
no.
And I would risk. I mean, if he were my kid, I would say,
Well, more importantly, his agent's telling him, "You're done.
Be careful.
You're done."
Oh. Yeah. We'll see.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I'm happy for you. You got to see your heels up close and personal, and I'm excited that your youngins got to have a great time. So that's cool.
They enjoyed it, and so now I love it because they're going to be hungry for more. So,
yeah. Well, listen, you have a great week, and good luck tonight against the Pack.
Thank you. You're going to be cheering for the Heels?
I don't have a dog in the fight, but sure, because of you, yes, I will. How's that?
Okay.
How's that?
Thank you. Thank you.
Always. All right. We'll give my best to your fam.
Will do.
And good luck tonight.
Thank you.
You're gonna need it.
It's gonna be an ugly atmosphere. So.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's what rivalry. Those are good.
Yeah, it should be. It should be like that.
Yeah. All right. Take care of yourself.
Yeah. You too. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Right, bye. That's great. That's great news from Marva. I'm glad they had a great time. That's cool. Her young people will always remember that moment going to the Carolina game with mom and dad down at Miami. Tebow says Tech fans get pumped up for that Southern Miss NIT game. Because they're done. They blew too many games. It feels like that after Saturday. It does. That can't happen. But yet it did. You watch. Tonight they'll go to Miami. Carolina couldn't win at Miami. They'll go to Miami tonight and win by 15. Morris says, I think so, Tebow. Brings memories of long-winded Seth Greenberg, the worst person I've ever met. Beat Duke and lose to ODU. That idiot was horrible. Greenberg is, wow. Hey, Rick, I'd love to be on your show. Oh, wow. Thanks, Coach. That's great, man. We can start next week. Okay, yeah. I'll send you over the details. That'll be $500 a show. What? Huh? You can't make it up. Wow. Tebow says, if Tech beats Miami, he'll eat his dirty underwear. Ooh. Well, we won't invite you into the program, Tebow, to actually view that. We'll take your word for it if that happens. Rick, you made $500 a show. Only fair. Yeah, boy. Think about that. A guy who's already a millionaire, right? Division I college basketball coach, reached out to the show and wanted. Yeah. Then we had his brother at Radford. Justin Herbert started 7-8 games after breaking his hand. Yeah, it's just going to depend on where. Like, I don't know the details of his injury, so I don't know. But he's closer to the end here. I don't know what the NCAA tournament means for these guys anymore either. There you go, Rodney. Yeah, I just mentioned it. I have to race to the remote when Seth is on halftime. Turn it back. Yeah. It's perfect that he's at ESPN. You talk about a perfect match. Whew. A perfect match. Yeah, I brought that up yesterday. It's not all on him, but it is pretty clear that Neo's not the player that he was paid to be. That's not a derogatory statement. That's not attacking the kid. That's just looking at what's going on. This slump has lasted now 6 weeks. We'll talk to Mike. I'm curious to talk to Mike because they talked to Mike Young after the game Saturday, and then they'll talk to him before the game. Probably already have done the interview. This feels like to me, and if I'm wrong, you think I'm wrong, that's fine. Doesn't this feel like these next 2 weeks are going to tell us a lot about the future of Mike Young at Virginia Tech? I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form he should be let go. I'm just saying, how does this team respond? How does he respond? This feels like we're going to get a look-see into what this might look like sooner than later. They've used up their get-out-of-jail-free cards after that loss on Saturday. It's all gone. And see, and that's it. Wayne and I at some point, just like me and David Smith, somehow Wayne and I at some point were sharing a womb. Because all we heard about the thing that was going to put over, and we had Coach Young on, we had J.D. Byers on. Neo was the signing. that was going to put this program at a different level and contend in the ACC. I'm not making it up. Go look at every write-up about Tech basketball. So, and I'm not going to sit here, and I'm sorry, I no longer look at college athletes the same. They're getting paid more money than I'll ever make in my lifetime. So these are pros. So this isn't like, oh, you're picking on the kid. No, I'm picking on a young man who's making $2.5 million to play college basketball in America. I'm going to have the same mindset that I do toward professional athletes. This has changed. This isn't some innocent kid who got hurt. This is somebody who is now negotiated a deal to come play basketball for Virginia Tech, and he's not performing in any way, shape, or form up to the capabilities that he was paid. Many guys do that. Some exceed it. A lot exceed it. Many don't. That's what this is. This is professional sports. So don't hit me with, and I got a couple text messages yesterday, don't hit me with that crap. Yeah, agreed, Tebow. It is, right. The overall, even though the professional game here is a load of crap, American basketball is still the best in the world. And they come over here to play college basketball with these coaches and these systems. It is different. Absolutely. Much more physical game here. And I think a lot of folks don't make the trip across the water and respond very well to that. We have a couple of those guys on Radford's team, and they talked about that. It's funny that you bring that up because we have one, Freddie Erickson is a great kid. Said, yeah, American basketball, you have to be, your body has to be trained a lot differently because it's very physical. They're not used to that. That's why their bigs, the Euro bigs, a lot of them are more comfortable on the perimeter than they are down low. Yeah, exactly. You can't talk about, some people still have that mindset, Tebow. None of this is personal attacks on anybody. This is just looking at it from an honest standpoint. You're being dishonest with yourself if you sit around and you still think that he has been the player that he was paid to be, then that's fine, but you're wrong. And it's okay to talk about it. These aren't the same rules of kids grinding out, going in 18 hours of coursework and practicing and playing. These are guys that are driving the latest sports cars. They have the best clothes. They have their own pad. They got more money coming in per month than any of us make in a year. So don't hit me with the whole amateurism crap mindset that, oh, these are just young people. Yeah, they're young people who are very rich. And they're not performing. Just like any of us who get paid on what we do for our living, if we don't perform, we are criticized. And we've said this all along. This goes to the bigger problem. I couldn't have handled it. If I'm 18, 19 years old, 20, whatever it is, hey, Rick, here's $3 million. Wow, cool. How mature am I going to be at that point of my life without any life experience really to handle all that? How much am I going to allow people to come in and give me bad advice by handlers, agents, people who really want to look out for me? How vulnerable am I going to be, And that is the other side of it. And we're doing this across the board in college athletics. And we're expecting this to just be okay. And we're expecting all these young people to just sit around and completely handle this very maturely, to invest that money, to understand that this is no, that's not what it is. And when you start to see, I think, the inconsistent results that are going to happen more frequently in college football, college basketball, right? It's because a lot of guys stopped playing. This was a reference that was made last year, and it was Mike Burnop, remember? When Virginia Tech got off the rails in their season. Remember that? Talked about how guys are more worried about their paychecks. He said it right here on the show. Moore says in my infamous monologue opening, Neo can't hit a coin jar with a basketball, but he knows how to collect. There you go, Prometheus. I mean, you get paid to do something, you don't do the job, you either get fired or you get your tail reamed, right? You're going to sit there and get yelled at. It happens. The rules change, man. This isn't the same. You can't look at it the same way because it's not the same. No, he's completely out of Blacksburg. Yeah, right wing, absolutely. There's no question. There's no way he would come back. Yeah, he's going to start his career one way or the other. Yep. Yeah. Well, we'll see if they figure it out again tonight on the road. We'll talk to Mike about it, and we'll get his thoughts. Mike is pretty direct about things, and so we'll get his thoughts about how things might go tonight and what happened on Saturday. I want to know what he saw on Saturday. A 26-point swing, that is an anomaly in 20 minutes of basketball. And you allow a team to shoot over 70% in one half. I mean, that's a team that's not making any effort defensively. So what was lost in the messaging? I don't know the answers. I'd like to kind of get behind the answers a little bit and try to figure out what's going on there. But I went back and looked last night, man. There is I bet you could say 75% of Tech fans want a change now at the head coach. But I think what we're seeing in the case of Neo is this. If you have an international guy, just like Wayne and Tebow are saying, you better be sure they're ready to come over here and adapt themselves to how this game is played, because it is different. Yeah, they were hitting shots. But the highlights that I saw, they were wide open. Nobody was rotating on shooters. And I'm not one to immediately be like the Coach Elmo says and Todd. We don't want to immediately go to coaches and be hey, you got to tear down the coach. But they're also getting paid a lot of money. So, of course, it's going to go to them. Right? Yeah, well said. The artist formerly known as TLB. I'm still going to call you TLB, T-Bird. By the way, he's back. 19-year-old shouldn't be put in that situation. Our world is broken. The fix will come one day, and it will be painful. Tebow says, I like Young, but I get it. They've blown too many winnable games, and this whole handling of Tyler Johnson is mind-blowing. Yeah, I don't know. The only way you can conclude about Tyler Johnson is we haven't gotten any honest assessment about what's happening. I don't know. We'll see. All right, joining us now on the program. He's always available to play. It's Brian Seigla from the Boundary Cornet. What's up, man? How are you?
What's going on, Rick? How we doing this morning? I hear we're talking a little hoops.
Yeah, we're talking a little hoops, and you guys talk hoops. Let's talk a little hoops. We're going to talk to Mike Burnop here in a little while, but I don't know what happened Saturday. I was doing the Radford game, and I'm looking at halftime. Oh, it takes up by 3. All right, tough game. Florida State's athletic, but that's okay. And then I didn't know they had lost till I got home, and I'm like, really? To lose that bad? What happened? Did you watch it?
I didn't watch it, man. I was actually out of town this weekend, so I didn't get a chance to watch it. I kind of went back and watched some highlights, and it looks like just complete face plan in the second half. And I mean, we've seen this team win some, a handful of good games this year, and then just drop some of these mind-numbing games that, on paper should be, a 10 to 15 point victory walking away. And it's kind of gotten to a point where they are not consistently playing to their talent level week in, week out. And you got to wonder, is this becoming a Mike Young problem and not just a talent problem?
I mean, I looked last night. I mean, if you go through the threads, I mean, the seat is pretty hot in terms of Tech fans' minds anyway. I don't know whether it is administratively. I doubt that it is. And we'll see what happens here down the stretch. But tonight, they went on the road last time, got a win. Nobody really thought that might happen. Miami just dispatched of Carolina on the same floor Tech's playing on tonight. We'll see if they put it together. Wouldn't surprise me, though. Would not surprise me at all. We're going to be looking up after this game, and Tech wins like 81-71, something like that, But who knows?
Yeah, and I think the problem is that with the FSU loss, they're going to probably need a little bit more help than they would have needed before.
Oh, yes.
Because the bad loss, it hurts you a whole lot more than a good win helps you. So, you're still behind. You're still behind the 8 ball, even if you right the ship.
Yeah, especially a home, like you just said, a home loss by that many points to an under 500 team. That is like double the rubble they have to climb out from than they did before, man. That is like everybody took their red pens and went, oh, Virginia Tech, red X after that result. So, well, we're talking about other, we're looking at what's going on now. You saw, Penn State has opened their books, and we've now seen, I think, 7 schools here in the last 2 weeks show you how much money is being lost. This isn't an accident. It's not a coincidence. This is all schools and conferences starting to say, okay, now we're starting to initiate change. It may not look like it now. We're not going to announce that, but here comes the evidence for all to see. I have a feeling, and this is just me, and I want to get your take, Brian, 2026 college football season will be the last we see under this system, I think.
I think it's the last we'll see under this system. The question that I have and the thing that I've been thinking about is that, do we see a revolution or an evolution from what we have now? And I guess that's kind of the things that I've been thinking through, is that, do we see a complete overhaul of the way that the profit-making sports in collegiate athletics are handled, or whether we see a new way of the governing body, whether that's the NCAA or some other entity, interacting with these teams? And is it incremental, or does it all happen at once? And if it does all happen at once, to what degree is that shift into more of a almost semi-pro arm of the NFL and the NBA? And with the NBA situation, I mean, they've already got the G League. So it's like, how does this fit into their overall kind of farm system type program? So I'm very curious to see what happens here, but I definitely think there's a lot of changes on the horizon, because what's going on right now is not sustainable. And it's not good for the players. It's not good for the coaches or the administrations. And I don't mean that to say that I don't think players should be getting paid. I like the fact that there is compensation there, because everyone else was making money through this process. The people that are getting the butts in the seat should be a part of that. At the same time, there needs to be some degree of guardrails to the way that's handled, and there needs to be some sort of top end cap to what can be done across various universities.
I talked to a coach on an ACC staff yesterday, and he said, simple solution is this, Rick. all you have to do is stop paying them. There's nobody governing this. You can't have athletes. They can't file for collusion, right? They don't have an association. There's no players association. There's no governing body over this now. If everybody got together and just said, okay, here's our set budget. We don't have any more than this. This is it. If everybody would just agree to it, and then guys would have to make a decision. And I guess it sounds simplistic, but I guess he's right, because I started thinking about it later, because he's right. There's nobody what are they going to do? Are individual athletes going to start suing because schools are telling you, we can't financially do this anymore? As Prometheus just said, the bidding wars are destroying the whole thing. If everybody could get on the same page and say, here's our limit, we can't do this. But the problem is, as he said, he followed up the next breath and said, but we know that's not going to happen because people can't help themselves because they feel like they have it and they always want that edge. So they're going to keep offering. So nobody's ever going to agree. So there's the problem.
The problem is the people that would agree are the people that aren't necessarily going, millions of dollars in debt to keep up with the other teams that are at the top of the league. I think that's the thing, is that if you're already considering that as an option, then you're probably not the ones that are going into significant debt every year to keep up with the Joneses.
Well, I will say this. He comes from a school that has absolutely no financial issues whatsoever. But they do talk about the issues at a bigger basis and look around and see what it is. And it's just – so I don't know. I don't have any of the answers, and I don't know who would. That's the thing, Brian. I don't know who at this point. Everybody says we should get a commissioner. Who's going to appoint the commissioner? There's no power within the NCAA structure. They're already showing that by allowing all this.
Yeah. And the problem with that, we've seen it with the SEC situation with, players getting eligibility and things like that. Right now, we're looking at, for all the faults of the NCAA, and there are myriad faults with the NCAA, but for all of their faults, the one thing that has become hard, regardless of how you feel about them, is now you've got, basically 50 points of failure within any rules that you provide, because now any state can bring, there's a lawsuit that can be brought in any state. There's all these different points of failure for any sort of rule that you implement that limits student athletes' rights in any way, right? So that's kind of the problem that we are facing right now, is that everything is kind of a moving target. Even for a governing body that, by all accounts, and if you listen to the Boundary Corner, you know that I am no fan of the NCAA.
No.
And they created a lot of this problem themselves, unfortunately. But once the legal part got involved, they were cooked from a governing body standpoint.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's only gotten worse. The Ed O'Bannon ruling started the process, and instead of being proactive after that ruling, they kind of fought to the point where they were forced to throw their hands up, and that's why we're dealing with a lot of what we're dealing with right now.
That's a great point. They could have said, all right, well, we've lost. How now can we work with everybody? And if they would have done that in the good-natured, the schools would have done that, then this could look totally different. But you're exactly right. All they immediately did was go to court, throw mud, fight. They lost every ruling, and now that's set the precedent to where they're going to lose every ruling going forward. So here we are, because of a horrible reaction by people making a lot of money that's supposed to have good common sense, but they usually don't. The ones who make the most money usually don't. Here we are, talking about this seemingly daily and seeing these Penn State open their books like it. We're seeing it every day. I guarantee you look around X today, another school is going to open their books and show you how much money is being lost, right? It's going to just continue to pick up momentum. And how much are fans going to sit back and just accept this as the norm? That's the question I have. The donating, money-giving fans. Yeah. Tech needs a lot of that money to be donated. $120 million supposed to come from boosters and fans. Can they count on that at this point, given the way things are? I don't know.
It's one of those things where you're going to have to see some success. You got to see a return on investment at this point. And that's where we're at with this whole thing, is that especially the everyday fan, they're going to need to see return on the investment to stick around. And it's not, you don't feel the same way about that altruism as you felt 5-10 years ago, because, that was going to support your school.
Correct.
It wasn't for an athlete that may be there for 1 year and then gone the next.
Right.
So it's a little bit different. People feel a little bit differently about that money now because of where it's going and because of how quickly it can be there and then going out the door.
Yeah, that's a great point. Well, none of us have any answers. I know I don't have any answers. I wish I did, but I don't. I'd be making a lot more money myself if I had the answers. But, Mike Elko's going around yesterday on his own podcast talking about all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But nobody has an answer of how it's going to work. They just say, hey, this needs to be done. And that's kind of the problem. We need to do this, but we don't have any solutions. So.
Well, you either got people that have solutions but no power, or power but no solutions. And,
yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
At some point, those people need to get together and have a conversation and work through what is a feasible path forward, and something that works for at least all the the Power 4 schools, if not throwing in some of the G5s as well. I don't know if we're coming out with a better system if this is a Greg Sankey sanctioned outcome.
True. Very true.
So
very, very true.
We'll see how that goes.
All right, what are you guys up to now on the corner, the Boundary Corner? They have great discussions, by the way, like this, folks, all the time. So if you're missing out, you're missing out. So
yeah, tomorrow night we are going live on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook. We're going to talk a way too early, too deep for the Virginia Tech Hokies football team.
Oh, there you go. Okay. All right. Well, it's the best, and people can get it all over the place, right? Your appetite for the Boundary Corner shows up in several different avenues, not just one.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can go to boundarycornervt.com to check out all the episodes. You can find us everywhere podcasts are streamed, downloaded. If it's out there, you can find us.
All right, brother. Well, you guys have fun. Tell everybody I said hello, and we'll resume next week, and we'll get your results. If people don't get to see it, we'll get a little synopsis of how you came up with the 2D. So
sounds good, Rick. Appreciate it as always.
Thanks, brother. Take care of yourself, bro. Be good, man. Keep it up, man. You guys do a great job. Thanks, brother. All right, it's Brian Seigla from the Boundary Corner. All right, so I'm going to go fix the light. Why I don't shut the shade, I don't know. Oh, no. I feel like I'm driving down Fairview Church right now. We're coming up Route 8 in the evening. All right, I'll be right back. This is on me. And I want to get – you guys are making some great – you're having great conversation, by the way, in chat. We got to get to some of that. Mike Burnop here in about half an hour. Hang on. All right. Y'all remind me early tomorrow when it's still dark to go ahead and shut them. All right, let's go back here. Let's see what we have. Yeah, here comes the sun. Indeed. Let's go back to sitting 1 year out before playing the next school year. You know what? let's talk about this. Why does it feel like, and I want to get your opinion. By the way, subscribe, like, and share our channel. Hit us up on the Professional Door Incorporated text line. Many of you have, and you are right now. And in our McClellan Chiropractic chat room. We're at 806 on our way to 1,000. So it's amazing. Thank you so much for that. But we need to get up to 1,000. And I want to know your opinion. Why does it feel like we've given the athletes at 18, 19, 20 years old absolute power? Like, they don't have a union. They fought for it. Remember the Dartmouth thing? That got shut down pretty quickly. They don't have a union. They don't have lawyers lined up to defend them as a governing representation like the NFL, the NFLPA, baseball, they all have it, hockey. So why are we acting like we can't implement rules on incoming athletes going forward? I mean, these kids, really, the power is still with the schools and the NCAA to make these decisions. If a kid's coming out of high school, or if he's gone somewhere and he wants to go in the portal, why are we acting like we can't change the rules? It feels like there's I don't know if it's just fear of litigation, whatever it might be. Why does all of it now feel like we can't do anything to fight this out of control spending? You know what I mean? So, for instance, because no one has checked and balanced any of it, the bidding wars happen and nobody thinks twice about it. And I'm just asking the question because I don't have any solutions. I'm just wondering, though, why can't there be, if everybody's losing money to this degree, or if the majority's losing money? The problem is you probably can't even get agreement within your own conference because you're going to have the ones who are making and have it and the ones who don't. Yeah, and I know, Morris. I'm not saying they need an attorney. That's what I'm saying. But why is the deck stacked now to the point to where the schools, from my understanding, unless I've missed something, other than the revenue share ruling, the rev share, which is part of all this, nothing's come down from any judge that says you have to pay an average salary of X amount of dollars. Right? No one is saying that you have to buy a certain amount of football players on your roster, or this position needs to be paid this. Like, that's not part of any of this. So this goes back to the same problem, though. The schools still have that power. They could, and what this is called in professional sports is collusion, right? When the owners would collude against player salaries. But again, the schools who make up the NCAA, even within their own conferences, can't agree on much of anything, much less saying, all right, here is our conference's salary structure. Here's the revenue sharing rules. What number can we come up with that makes sense to try to keep this? As long as they're not, this is as long as they're not employees. My easy solution is make them employees. Not easy solution, but it would be the proper solution, I think. But without that, in lieu of that, let's just say you could get together in the ACC or the Big Ten and you could say, hey, you know what? What is the maximum amount you can spend on a football roster that makes sense to every institution that we have? We're supposed to be in this together. We share media money. We share all the TV money. all that's distributed evenly. Why can't we make it an even distribution on what is being spent? I know this isn't reality, all right? But I'm just trying to explain the power is still within the institutions to change without fighting the ruling that came against them about the rev share. Now, there's no question, Morris. I mean, it's 100% in the athlete's favor. We've already seen it. And they're winning the injunctions. The NCAA and the schools are so thought of so little. Now, the situation with the Duke quarterback, you know, it's interesting. The Washington situation played out in favor of the school the kid was leaving. The Duke situation played out in the favor of the school trying to buy him from Manny Diaz's program. So there's no consistency in any of the rulings either, or any of the vibes. But I was thinking that too, Prometheus. Why couldn't the schools just say, all right, we understand there's a minimum rev share that we're responsible for, but that doesn't involve Ohio State and Texas Tech paying $60 million for their football roster just to have better talent than everybody else. If you give an inch, they'll take a mile. If you sue me, I will win because I'm not an employee. Right. Right. The schools have the power to say, well, okay, we'll do all this rev share, but we have to make you an employee. These universities are businesses. That's why they charge tuition. That's why they charge student fees. What kills me, some of these kids get a nice chunk of change of zero change. Yeah, what did Todd say yesterday? How about that, by the way? Was that not jaw-dropping? As we were asking questions we were getting, how many guys are getting paid? Everybody on scholarship. 90 to 95% of the players are making money. Wow. And I guess I probably realized that. Now, it's not all the same amount, but no wonder you run out of money and you're into debt pretty quickly. Yeah, players are – the reason they're falling all over themselves to go back to college is because they've gotten their NFL assessment. Like, for instance, the Ole Miss kid, the Ole Miss quarterback. And I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on his name, but I am. Is it Chambliss? Yeah, Chambliss. Trinidad Chambliss. I thought it was. I just want to make sure. Trinidad Chambliss. He got a 6-year. He was shot down, 3 or 4 times. Then he found a Mississippi. A judge from a grad of Mississippi who gave him the decision that he wanted. And he's going back to school for 6 years. These guys are going to school because they're going to get paid there when they know they're not going to get paid in the NFL. Yeah. The thing that's going to be sympathetic and why – I guess goes back to how we started all this conversation, why schools are showing their books. Judges and courts will start to understand what's going on when you say, we're going bankrupt. We're going bankrupt. We can't provide anything else for the normal student body anymore because look at what the money is being taken out here. Right? Maybe that would change the mindset of the courts in favor of the schools. Where's the money going to come from, Judge? Just because we paid out, certain schools are paying out this money doesn't mean we can do it. Ohio State isn't like everybody else. Clearly. Does that mean that they would get all the players? Sure. As many as they could bring in and afford, but there'd still be a lot left over. But guys now are coming into these schools knowing that they have all the leverage. And the reason they have all the leverage is because nobody's trying to take it back. Correct, Tebow. I got a lot, as a parent, I got criticism, not criticism, but I think people, all of my kids said the same thing. When they got their license, they wanted a car. And a lot of parents will immediately go out, "Yeah, here you go. Here's your brand new car. It's nicer than anything I've ever driven, but you're my gal or you're my boy." And I said the same thing. Well, okay, go get a job. Start saving your money. If I can help you some, but you're now an adult. I had to buy my first car. So I don't think there are enough people that are mature enough, responsible enough, that are running these conferences, that are running any aspect of the NCAA, the schools themselves, presidents. I think a lot of times the AD understands more than anybody what's going on, but the AD doesn't have the kind of power to institute anything. It goes above the athletic directors, I think, for the most part. I know a lot of times the ADs get blamed, and I'm not, whitewashing their responsibility, but how much power can they have if the president, who is their boss as well, is implementing a totally different type of mindset? Morris says, we love Morris. And we love Dolphin Direct Insurance, Morris. I'm so mad now. I'm going to go look up curling. Going to go watch that today. So we've turned Morris to curling. When I was growing up and I worked on the farm, there was a time when I got a little older, I don't know, middle school, and I asked my dad, I said, "Hey, we work our asses off, man. We're up 2 hours before any other kid in school. We have our responsibilities with the animals. I'd like to have an allowance." And he immediately shot back. He goes, "Where did you wake up this morning?" And I said, "What?" He goes, "Where did you wake up?" "In my bed." "What did you just eat?" "I had bacon and eggs." "What are you wearing right now on your body?" "Clothes." "Did you buy those clothes?" "No." "There's your allowance, son." And I'm not saying that works today, but that shot that argument down pretty quickly. We're providing everything you need in your life. I'm asking you to help me with the things that help us provide for you, because you are the benefactor as our child. Now you've given back is what you're doing. Okay. And I know that might seem outdated, but that's the answer that I got. And you know what? It never came up again. Look, and for me, I agree with both of you. And Elmo said it yesterday. Free education, room and board. The plan makes a lot of sense. It does. What he said made a lot of sense. Think about it. 4 years of college, you have no debt because you've been on scholarship. Scholarships are renewed yearly. So you're both right. I'm not debating it at all, and I never have debated it at all. Until I read the article about Peyton Manning at Tennessee, and I realized that wasn't right. But we've not legislated any part of this. We've not shown any ability to get any handle on anything. This is why I believe there's another species of something out there going, look at this. Look how they turned NIL into pay for play. Look at them falling all over themselves, trying to pay some 19-year-old kid $8 million to go be their quarterback. Think how stupid that sounds, by the way. Mensa leaves Duke. He's not a surefire NFL prospect. He's getting paid $7 million by a school to be their damn quarterback next year. How in any commonsensical world, if anybody down there at the U or anybody in college sports, how can anyone look at that as being okay and normal and sustainable? But yet that was a decision that was made to the point to where they fought it in court and they got him. You got him all right. Good luck with that. He better be the best quarterback in the history of Miami football, which he will not be. And the Canes better very well find themselves back in a national championship game, which they likely won't be. $7 million. And we just look at that as like, oh, okay, that's cost of doing business. No, it's not. But this goes back to the whole counter argument. This is why no one will ever get together on anything, because schools behaving like that. The outlier schools that feel like they can cover it because of extra money that they're getting from donors and whatever it is, are going to outweigh common sense. In other words, I don't believe that the schools who are the haves really care about the overview of anything. It's why the SEC and the Big Ten have put themselves in the role of being the gatekeeper. They're looking out for their own self-interests. And while the reason you won't have a solution unless schools just start saying, we don't have the money, sorry. You start turning kids away and the whole thing will stop. But I don't believe you're going to see that continuity. I just don't think that humans are capable. It's tough enough to get two people in a room to agree on one thing, much less multiple things. Now you're asking, in these mega leagues now where you have 16, 18 teams, you're going to ask all of the commissioners, you're going to ask all the presidents to sit there and agree. Does anybody see that being real? I don't, because we're still seeing these extra years being granted and these schools willing to pay a quarterback $7 million to be a college football player. The O'Bannon ruling wasn't about that. The O'Bannon ruling was to correct the money the schools were making off of the guys and gals without them seeing any compensation. But what we have today is not in any way, shape, or form what NIL was supposed to be. That's why stop calling it NIL. I don't understand people nationally. Stop. That's not what this is. In any, there's no, in any world where this is NIL, this is pay for play. This is buying the best talent, just like in free agency and professional sports. That's all this is. Nothing more, nothing less. And from what we know, most of these deals aren't multi-year contracts, right? Because there's not employees, so you can leave after a year. Or if you have a 2-year deal, you can get out of it. Whatever. But you're going to see more schools opening their books, and they are going to want everyone to see what they're trying to do when things like that happen. They're trying to get the public, maybe the people who even support the same program, to understand how unsustainable this is, to get the sympathy from people on their side. The public discourse means a lot in these situations. So you're seeing the roots starting to be planted for the big fight that's coming, or the big change that they want to implement. For years, the athletes didn't have any rights other than what they were getting for their education, right? They got nothing. And it was only because the schools, the conferences, the commissioners, the presidents, the greed to keep it all themselves swayed every decision, the setup, right? So now, when you have this much money that's being paid out, Ohio State, that's $60 million. Well, the same mindset, it's probably more so today than even it was then, although money has been the root of all this. All of a sudden, all the people who were getting fat off all that money, they're losing that money, right, to the athletes. So all of a sudden, that system doesn't work anymore, does it? And the whole mindset was, we're keeping all this money ourselves, not going to give it to the athletes that are out there creating the money, till the courts changed all that, until Ed O'Bannon's case changed all that. Well, now there's not the money because it's all being paid. So eventually people are going to look around and go, well, we're not getting the money we used to get. We're not getting our share. We're going to start fighting this. Money will create, what I'm trying to say, long story short, schools, presidents, commissioners, everybody who's used to having all this money, now that it's starting to dry up, that's going to push them into a fighting stance. Agreed, TLB. Agreed. But there weren't really many good games last night. So I don't know. We'll talk to Mike Burnop about all these things. Tech in Miami tonight. I will do my best tomorrow to not bring this up. But I know how passionate people are about college sports. I work in college sports. And I know that many of us are already souring a lot at the whole professional sports models. And we got a lot of compliments, by the way. I got a lot of compliments on the text line. People like that conversation because it's true. The commissioners, the people running the pro sports don't care about the product. They just care about the other stuff. So I don't know. I just don't know. But what do you expect in chaos? That's why it's called chaos. And I refuse to believe there aren't people smart enough to come up with solutions. I mean, this is supposed to be higher education, but either they can't, or they know it won't do any good. And it comes back to the question I asked you. If you're a booster, you're a supporter, text saying we need $120 million from you. Next time, it's going to be a lot more than that. How much more can you afford? I don't know the answer. But when we see what's happening with professional sports and we see the product of all of it, and baseball is going to stop next year. I've talked about the NFL a lot. The NBA is unwatchable. Hockey is, I think, by far the best played of the pro sports leagues, but not enough people care about hockey. Thank you, TLB. Appreciate that. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of good response about my Big Dog Barks column with the Patriot. Thank you. I don't know. But I do know this. Change naturally is not going to happen. So that's why you're seeing people showing how much money they're losing. It's not going to be a natural adjustment. It can't be, because the courts will shoot down natural adjustment unless the reasoning makes it so the courts at that point have to say, it's easy to say this, but it's not there. It's just not there. Thanks to Family Fencing, sponsor of our studio here in Reiner, 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrb.com. Give Jason Green a call. Mark Hundley, Mattel and Chiropractic, right off of Peppers Ferry Road, Christiansburg, right off of Walters Drive. Go see all the latest technology and all the things that they have over there. Thanks to Pulaski County Sports Entertainment, the presenting sponsor of this program. Stacy Compton, he might be on next week. I got to look and see. He's now going to lead the way for them in their brand new IHRA partnership. Man, oh man, that's so cool. Little River Heating and Air, 295 Radford Street in Christiansburg, 540-553-2971. The attorney Ryan Pry, sponsor of BDST Fan Question of the Week. How many wins will Tech get here down the stretch? That's where we're going to head. If you look at the regular season, Tech basketball, men's basketball. National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of this program. Thank you so much to Lara. Professional Door Incorporated, residential commercial garage doors. Family owned and operated for 38 years, sponsor of our text line. And the Ready Set Fund, thanks to Bob Chris, CRIST11 at Gmail. Of course, the brother of the Hall of Famer Dave Christ, the legendary Blacksburg High School football coach. ReadySetFund.com. Your organization wants to earn some money. ReadySetFund.com. Thanks to Lawson's Mobile Home Supply. And also thanks to the NRB Super Bowl. So much fun over there. So much fun over there. And you'll appreciate everything if you go and see how much they have improved every aspect. It's awesome. It's awesome. All right. Also, it's also awesome. Joining us now on the program. I can tell by the picture behind him, he's in sunny Miami. It's Mike Burnop. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Rick. How are you? Yeah, greetings from sunny Miami.
How are you?
I'm good. It was about 80 degrees here yesterday. We got in early afternoon. Got to spend about an hour and a half or so, 2 hours at the pool. It was gorgeous yesterday, and I think it's going to be that way today.
Oh, that's pretty cool, man. That's right. You have a Florida residence anyway, so you're kind of used to that environment, aren't you? You don't mind sliding back into that environment from time to time?
Yeah, I wish it was a little closer. The weather up in the northern part of Florida is not like it is here. So, yeah. But yesterday I heard it was nice in Blacksburg, too.
Yeah, 60 today, as a matter of fact.
Can't beat that.
No,
I'm ready for spring, brother.
I am too, brother. Of course, Mike Burnop's appearance brought to you by Louise Baker Team Long and Foster Realtors. All right, let's talk a little bit about Tech basketball, Mike. I don't know. I was doing the Radford game, and I saw Tech's up by 3 at halftime, and I thought, okay, Florida State's athletic, but they're ahead. I didn't know what had happened until I got home, and I just sat there going, wow, a 26-point swing. You called the game. What happened, man? What happened after halftime in that basketball game?
Man, you talk about a tale of two halves, Rick. That was it. I mean, the Hokies put up 42 points in the first half and 27 in the second, and then Miami scored 53 points or Florida State did 53 points in the second half and just absolutely shot the lights out. They couldn't miss. 78% they shot. They were 5-7, I think, beyond the arc. So, for the game, they shoot like over 60%. They were over 52% from the line, 3-point line. And that was a team that came in averaging 31% from 3-point land. And so, I guess it's just a combination of bad defense. They got hot, couldn't miss shots. They couldn't get stops. Just everything was like a snowball going downhill. It just kept getting bigger and bigger. And, you look at some of the scores of some of those guys, like Chauncey Wiggins was 7 of 8, and Jones, I think he was 7 of 10. Another guy, Somerville, 9 of 11. That's a guy that came in averaging 8 points a game and lit him up for 23. Couldn't miss. I mean, it was just like, whoa, this is like an offense explosion here. And just couldn't find answers. Couldn't get stops. Had a tough time executing. It was tough day, tough to watch. That was a game, Rick, you had to win.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, right. Well, and you watch what they did against Clemson. You and Zach are caught. You're going, okay, well, that's one that kind of kept their season going. And then you come home like that at home. I mean, and what that does, too, in terms of your resume, man, that's a very bad impression, losing a game that badly at home, to see it switch that way. So.
Yeah, because, Florida State was a team that was like 4-7 in the league. And so, you can't, we talked about that. You need to win those 3 home games to try to get to 20 wins.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to try to steal 1 or 2 on the road. Well, that's not going to be easy. Miami's playing great. They're sitting there at 20-5. Carolina's good, even though without Wilson, they still were finally able to win the other day. And then you look at UVA's playing great. So, I'm not sure how this thing's going to end. I don't think Tyler Johnson's coming back tonight. So that'll be another game. I think number 14 he's missed in a row. So, it makes it difficult to say the least.
Mike Burnop joining us on the program, of course, thanks to Louise Baker Team Long and Foster. So speaking of Tyler, people wanted me to ask, have they given you an update on what's going on with it? Is it strictly just a health thing right now? Because, for like the last 2 or 3 weeks, we thought he was coming back.
Yeah, I know. It's been like a slow process. The foot just hasn't healed as quick as they wanted to. And, I think he tries. You can see him on the sideline, and he just keeps trying to stretch it out and move around. And, he's out of the boot, and he does some at practice, but he's just not ready to go full speed. And it's been frustrating for everybody, I think, because, he hadn't played since December 20th. And, you're almost looking at February 20th now. And so, it's been difficult to sit there and watch that. But he could be certainly a big part of the puzzle getting him back. And hopefully that'll happen sooner than later. But, it's just been a slow process, and they don't want to push it and risk hurting him worse.
What's your thoughts on where Neo's sitting right now? He continues to, I won't say struggle every game, but he's not necessarily producing like many thought he was going to be. What have you learned just watching him and being around him?
Well, he shot the ball a little bit better the other day from beyond the arc. He was 3 out of 5. And he had 2 assists and no turnovers. So that was better, much, much better. But, he's still, needs to finish shots better. I think overall he was 3 out of 8 or something like that. We know he's better than that. Tonight they'll get up in his face and guard him. They'll double team him. So they'll try to make him uncomfortable tonight. But fortunately, Ben Hammond's been the primary ball handler of late. And, Ben had another good game the other day, made 4 of 4 beyond the arc and 6 of 7. He's been on a little bit of a tear with the exception of the one game. And so it's good to see Ben bounce back. But Neo's got to play better. Obviously, he's a tough matchup when he plays well. And so we'll see how he does tonight against Miami. He's really good defensively.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Canes, especially at home. They've been really good. Nobody seems to be talking about them. The new coach has come in from Duke, and he's done a really nice job with that roster. What kind of team are we looking at here tonight, Mike, when you break down the Canes?
Well, they're playing well. Their only losses, they got 5 losses. They were to Florida, BYU, and then in the league they lost to Clemson, Florida State, and Cal, which was kind of inexplicable. But yeah, they played well, and they're going to be hard to handle. Had a good win over Carolina after Carolina just had finished beating Duke, and so yeah, I think the Watsco Center will be they'll have a great crowd because they're playing well, and it should be fun to watch. Coach Lucas, he really has done a good job, Rick. When you look at that, came from Duke, 3 years there, associate head coach the last couple, and he's been around some great programs, doing a heck of a job, and he's got that team playing really, really well.
He does, and it's massive again. In your opinion, looking at their schedule after that result on Saturday, what do you feel like Tech needs to do now? Is it a win out to get back off the bubble or get back on the bubble? I mean, what do you think? I mean, it's hard to know what they take in consideration, but I know how damaging that loss was on Saturday.
Yeah, it was a big loss. And even looking at it into that game, they were like the last 4 in. Now they're probably the last 4 out, or maybe the last 8 out. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you can't afford to lose the home games. That'll get you to 19, right? But then somehow, some way, you got to try to steal 1 or 2 on the road and have a run of a couple games in a tournament. And you can't play those bad teams in the tournament and lose to one of them. You're going to have to play some of the better teams and try to get a win and stick around Charlotte for a while, because if not, you're looking at the NIT for sure.
Yeah, no question about it. And that's, we had Mike on the show right when it got started, and it was pretty clear it was the NCAA is the only thing they've considered. So he's already looking at that. So it has to be very troubling to him, and we'll see what they can come up with. But hey, Mike, right? You played it. You played the game. You covered so many games. Sometimes you go on the road like they did at Clemson and getting away from the noise and circling the wagons. That's what a team needs. So maybe they can put that together tonight, get back on the positive side of things.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, they had a heck of a win the other day. When you look at Miami beating NC State on the road, got those 3 free throws with less than 4 seconds left to win by 1 point. They've been a little bit lucky, and maybe you catch them at a good time. Who knows? I mean, but you're going to have to play well. You got to play well for 2 good halves, Rick. That's the other thing. We've seen this team play really good in the second half and play bad in the first half. And the other night, it was just a complete opposite. Played pretty good in the first half, put up 42 points, but they couldn't get a stop in the second half. And you give up 53 points and a team shoots 78% in the second half, you're not going to win most of the time. So
no,
I think that was an eye opener for them, and they realized they got to play better defense and rebound better and get out and run a little bit when they can. But this is the team Miami that loves to get out in transition and run, and they're a good offensive rebounding team. So they're going to have their hands full without a doubt.
Well, and the league's changed a little. Carolina without Caleb Wilson now going forward. Doesn't sound like he'll be back. I don't know. You break your hand in basketball, it's a little different. So all of a sudden, it looks like we're looking at Duke again, right? Louisville's playing pretty well. I mean, overall, the net's very strong though with the ACC, so that's an advantage for those teams. But what do you think?
It is, but you look at Duke. I mean, that game this weekend is going to be huge for the ACC playing Michigan. UVA got out and went on the road there and beat Ohio State, right? They were behind a lot of that game, but came back and won. They've been good. I think the one thing that scares you about Duke, I know they're really, really good and they're talented, but they're not getting the competition in this league night in and night out like the Big Ten does. I mean, look at that game last night. Iowa State playing Houston was ranked second, right? They go to Iowa State and get beat. It's like, they're playing a dog team every night, man. And it seems like. And so you just hope that Duke can stay healthy and represent the league because, Boozers could be the player of the year easily. And but this game this weekend is going to be big for the league for sure.
That's a great point you make. It's interesting. As high as the net ranking is, there aren't that many nights you see Duke or, whoever go on the road and think, boy, they're going to be tested tonight, right? You're right.
It's because there's so many teams in the league, and you don't play everybody. Like the Hokies don't play Pitt this year, and you're just going to end up playing some of those teams at the bottom of the rung pretty much every night, except for those top 4, 5, 6 teams. So what is that? That's 5 or 6 games out of 18. Yeah, I mean, Duke needs to be tested. I think it's great that they're playing Michigan. Well, it's going to say a lot about them and their team and the league, and that's a huge, huge game coming up Saturday.
Yeah, Shire taking a little heat over the comments that he made, apparently that weren't true about player being punched, and they had to come out and admit that didn't happen. So that's interesting that they've got that little sideshow to deal with after the Carolina game going into Michigan too. So
that was a crazy scene on the court, though, for sure.
Yeah, it was. It was.
That's going to add a little intrigue to the rematch when they play.
I would think so. I would think it might add a little heat. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, Mike, we go another day and barely got the week started. Another blue blood school, this time Penn State, showing you how much money they're losing. And I think, in my opinion, this is kind of orchestrated now. We've seen 6 or 7 schools do this over the last 3 weeks. They're trying to show you, hey, this is not going to be sustainable. We already know that, but they're trying to get the public sympathy now to show you what's really going on in college athletics. That was some eye-popping numbers yesterday from Penn State.
Yeah, and you saw the ones from Alabama, last week or something, where football was making an absolute ton of money, printing money. And then women's basketball was losing, 7-8 million or something? Yeah, I mean, it's like you go down through that list and you say, there's no way. You can't keep this up. How did they do that? And, I mean, it's like, it was so funny. My brother used to work for, before he retired, worked for Ford Motor Company. And you'd hear him, Ford Motor Company lost $100 million this quarter. I'm thinking, how do you stay in business? It's like, how do you do that? So, yeah, these teams, it's a tough time. And, again, not sustainable, I don't think. I don't know what's going to happen. But, gosh, it'd be nice if some of these guys got together and the smart people in the room, the Jay Billises of the world, got in there and just tried to figure out, let's get this thing back on the track and make it sustainable, because the product's too good. I mean, college basketball is great. March Madness is getting ready to come up. Football's been fantastic, but playing that championship game like next year, the end of January, it's almost like where the Super Bowl is. Yeah. Kids are in school. I mean, the transfer portal. I mean, the whole thing is just totally off the tracks.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I don't know where power is going to come from. I don't know who's going to be able to say, I saw Elko yesterday from Texas A&M. He's saying, we need somebody to run this sport, to run all this. Well, who's going to do it? And who's going to implement them? Because there's no power at the top of the NCAA.
Yeah. I wish Nick Saban would just take off and do it. I think he's got some great knowledge and obviously interest in the game. And I think he'd be good if he was like the czar of it. And let him take control and get this thing back ready. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully they'll get it right. I mean, it's too good of a product to screw it up any further, but they definitely got to make some changes.
Oh, it'll be screwed up further. We're humans, right? It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's got to hit the bottom. Yeah. Boom.
Yeah.
We're going to rise back up. Louise Baker, the Louise Baker team, Long and Foster Realtors, 5403-20382. She was at the game on Saturday. I saw her.
I know.
Comments. Yeah.
I saw her over there. She texted me, and I hope she got one of those strawberry milkshakes. It was Valentine's Day, so Dave and the Dairy Club up there had strawberry milkshakes, and man, were they good. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's usually chocolate and vanilla, but this time they had strawberry for Valentine's. It was awesome.
I like that.
Hopefully Louise got to enjoy one. But I did see her sitting over there, and that was tough to watch. No doubt the second half.
Well, not a lot of news. Not really. Should be really news football related, right? Guys are still getting what work they can get in, following the rules and so forth around the country. So no news is probably okay news right now, right?
Yeah, they're just working. They're doing their Hunger Games or whatever. They're got there working out hard. And I saw Brent Price Saturday. I talked to him for a little bit, and he had no voice. I said, "What? Where's your voice, my man?" He said, "Been screaming at those guys in the workouts." And so he said, "Well, that's probably good." And Coach Franklin, the same thing. He's been out there on those guys, and got to meet Sean Spence, the defensive line coach. You talk about a go-getter now. That guy's going to be great. Doing that, and saw Derek Jones. It was great to see him get that job at Tennessee. the defensive back coach. I think he's going to coach corners at Tennessee. So good for him. I got to catch up with some of those guys over the weekend, and good to see. But they're working hard, and I know they're still pubbing that spring game. Everything you see, they want to get that crowd in there and try to fill the place up and get some good experience for the coaching staff, the players. They're so new, and Lane Stadium, and we'll see how that goes. But looking forward to them getting back on the field and really seeing what you got.
Yeah, I know the goal is they want to have the Merriman project done right before they get into the first games of the season next year. I know. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, there's a lot of work going on over there. I'll say that. And a lot more needs to be done. Zach and I, we were riding down from the hotel to play Clemson, and I'm looking at the facilities that Clemson has and their indoor facility, the football facility building. Volleyball's got their own building, their own court, their own building. I mean, it's like, Virginia Tech's got some good facilities, but that Merriman Center was around when Bill Dooley was, and it's just not big enough. And so they need to make some changes, and I think James Franklin's the guy to get it done for sure.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because we played Clemson 3 of the last 4 years in men's basketball, so we've taken the time to do that, to walk around, to drive around, and you're just in awe. Of what they have. It's incredible. So.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I got a park for everything. Football stadium's incredible. But, you look at their softball facility, their track. I mean, everything is big time. And now they got their own volleyball building. And, we looked up there. There was construction on the outside of Little John Coliseum. So we asked what that is. And that's going to be football. Men's basketball is going to have their own indoor practice facility attached now to Little John. Yeah. So that's under construction now, too. So, yeah, they're just pouring the money into their facilities.
Wow. Well, we'll see if pretty soon they also open their books and say, hey, look how much money we're losing. Well, now we kind of know why too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You get to the point where you wonder, they're going to have to start cutting sports, and that's the last thing you want to do. But something's going to have to give. You just can't keep bleeding money.
Talked to a higher up in an athletic department. They said that they think club sport status is not off the table for a lot of these sports instead of just cutting them, We'll see.
Yeah, Virginia Tech's club hockey team's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
They won everything. And, I could see that happening. I mean, I think it'd be tough for the athletes,
I do too.
Take that path. But until they get the rest of the stuff figured out and fixed, it's just going to be – because everybody wants great facilities. Everybody wants the best travel. And, when you're in a league like this and you're traveling to California and SMU and just like you can't do it for these Olympic sports. I mean, Virginia Tech next year in football, we've talked about that. I mean, you couldn't go any farther. They got to play in Boston College. They got to play in Miami. Can't go much farther than those two. Then you got to go to California, come back, and you got to go to SMU halfway across the country. And then you still got to play Clemson and Maryland on the road. So, the money of those things, think about that in Olympic sports, would be ridiculous. And so, it's tough.
100%. If you estimate that when Tech's football team goes to Cal or Palo Alto, you're looking at probably a $1 million bill. It's got to be at least close to that. Yeah. What are these other programs that have no money or very little money? What are they going to do? How do you counter that as a department?
Yeah. They're looking for flight saving deals, right?
At the very least.
Super savers and traveling at different times to save a little money and all that kind of stuff. It's just not ideal for supposed to be, student athletes. And, it's tough. It's really difficult, to say the least.
Yeah. Well, Mike, as always, thanks for joining us on the road, man. It's always great to get that kind of atmospheric update of what's going on with you on the call tonight. Was that because you guys 7:00 tip? Is that right? 6:30 pregame?
Actually, they're playing 8:00 tonight for some reason.
8:00. Oh, great!
So we'll be on 7:30, and so it'll be good. Hopefully, it'll be a good crowd over there, and the Hokies will play well. I know there's a lot of people in Blacksburg that live down in South Florida, so hopefully there'll be a few Hokies over here. We'll see what happens with that, but it's going to be a tough one, and they're going to have to play well for 2 halves. Put it together, and they're certainly capable of that. There's that margin for error now, man. It got a lot smaller after Saturday.
Absolutely. I just saw it's on the ACC network. So there's our answer. That's why it's 8:00. Okay. Gotcha.
Yep. Yeah, sure enough.
All right, brother. Have a great call, man. And get out. I know you'll enjoy some great food today. Enjoy that sunshine down there. I know you
Sounds good, Rick. Appreciate it. And thanks to Louise. Hopefully
Absolutely.
we'll bring her some better news after this one and get home. It's hard to believe there's only 2 more home games left. Wow.
I know.
This thing is flying by.
It really is, man. And
yeah,
it's getting here quickly.
Yeah, sure is.
All right, brother. Stay safe, man.
Okay, Rick. Y'all have a good week too.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Be good.
Okay.
There you go. That's Mike Burnop from Florida tonight. He'll be on the call with Zach, and we do thank Louise Baker, the Louise Baker team. Long and Foster Realtors, 540-302-0382. I have to talk to Louise later this morning, so we'll pass along Mike's well wishes. Big game tonight, to say the least. Yeah, I don't know. And, Mike, just bringing up the reality of it. And I know the tech trip, it's at least $1 million. You go from coast to coast. That's why none of that made any sense. And think about what it does for Stanford and Cal. Stanford and Cal going to the ACC. It never made sense. It's never remotely made sense for all the other things Mike's talking about, much less now with so much money that's being lost just in travel and things that no one considered. Or if you did consider them, you didn't understand them until you start living in them. But just imagine tech volleyball or tech softball having to go to Cal and Stanford for you're not going to split those trips up, or you don't want to split those trips up, but that's usually a weekend series. So what do you do? Do you play? Oh yeah, Prometheus. All those California P4s are losing money. All of them. Do you go out there and play one weekend and then just stay? I mean, what do? You come back? You have to go back and pay the same cost. I don't know. It's just there was just knee-jerk reaction to adding those schools because the other leagues were expanding. It was not well thought out by Jim Phillips. Enough presidents wanted it to happen. But you have 2 schools. The reason you make those moves is not because of all these Olympic sports. You make these moves because of football. And neither one of those schools, where Stanford is now, not what they were when Tech played them when Luck was the quarterback, but where they are now in the mindset in California football and that whole, UCLA and USC went to the Big Ten because they couldn't sustain themselves. USC. So all these things that are happening, that have happened, much of it doesn't make sense, but we've already discussed that ad nauseum today. But we'll see how Tech does tonight against Miami. The game itself will present itself, and we'll see how it all plays out for them. They definitely need to win. No brainer. Are they capable of it? Absolutely. They were bigger underdogs at Clemson than they are tonight. I think tonight it's 7.5 points, 7.5. I think that was a 9.5 point spread down at Clemson. So they're capable. They have to know the sense of urgency has been upped considerably. And we'll see if they can go out and get it done. So let's see here. Make sure I get this right. So tomorrow we'll have Keon Brown, Damian Sordelette. I'm going to try to see if David Teal can join us tomorrow as well. But I want to make sure I get this right. I don't know where he sent that. I'll find it. But well, in any event, I will find it. And we're going to have, let's see here. I don't know where that was sent. I'm trying to find an email that I received here. Let's see. Anyway, we're going to have some cool guests on at 8 o'clock tomorrow. Steve, I got to find your email that you sent me. I don't know where it went. Don't know where it went. But in any event, we're going to have a good show tomorrow. Trust me. We're going to have a good show tomorrow. Hopefully Tech gets to go with Miami and Clemson. Yeah, the ACC is going to have to do something. Big 12 and the ACC are not in the minds at all in any way, shape, or form for the future. It's all about, well, the SEC and the Big 10 are all about themselves. But I think that they both know that long term they're going to be left out, especially when the departures come. And the departures are going to come before the next TV deal. I still believe that Clemson and Miami and Florida State and North Carolina will not be part of the ACC. And at that point, to say that Armageddon will have struck that league would be the understatement of the year. And I believe Jim Phillips understands where all this is headed. I believe everybody associated with that league knows where this is headed. Same thing in the Big 12. So, yeah, Prometheus, I think a merger at some point probably would make sense between whatever's left of those two leagues. Yeah. I think you're onto something there. I do. It is what it is. All good, Morris. If you're still with us, and I appreciate the sun pass nonetheless. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good stuff. You're right. I won't be traveling through there anymore. But it's good, man. Thank you. Thank you. So here we go. Thank you. I found it now. Lauren Sisler and Paige Gwynn. Paige is a presenting sponsor for the Montgomery County Chamber, and she's a presenting sponsor for Women's Leadership Conference. And she owns Blacksburg Ballet. And Lauren is the keynote speaker. And she's an author, and she's a Giles High School grad. She's been a reporter for ESPN. So we're going to do that tomorrow in hour number 3, I believe, with Lauren and Paige to have them on the show. So that'll be nice insight for you. And I think you guys will have fun with that. So that'll be 8 o'clock tomorrow. All right. Had to find it. I just had to find it, Steve. Don't know why it took me so long, but I did. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot. And please, as always, urge people to subscribe, like, and share the channel. Thanks for watching today. Thanks to all of our great sponsors, and thanks to you. And we'll see you tomorrow on the Hump Day Wednesday edition. Everybody, take care. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Enjoy this 60 degrees and sunshine. All right? I know I will.